Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week. If you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button and drop a like on the video, we would be forever grateful. Plenty of content coming your way this week. Certainly it's Thursday Tier Talk. Darren's normally with me, but he's away in Dubai living it up. So just flying solo tonight. So look forward to you people there in the chat. If there's any hassle, let me know. If you're okay on YouTube, if it all sounds good. Again, we're using new software here, so we want to make sure it's all working good. But we do have a good show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about the Champions League. Absolutely bedlam over the last two nights. English teams running an absolute riot. We're going to be doing a Premier League preview. We're going to be talking about the League of Ireland. We're going to be talking about the playoffs in the First Division. We're going to be obviously going through the two European games tonight, plus others. We will bring you up to date in the Europa Conference and League in a number of minutes. And we're also going to be talking about big games coming up the weekend. Shamrock Rovers, can they finally get over the line, or will Derry hold off a little bit longer and not concede the title up in the Brandywell like what happened last year with Shells? Could it be 2 years on the trot for them? So let's see what happens there as well. But very, very interesting to see what happens as well. As always, let me know your predictions in the thing when we get to the Premier League preview. Let me know your predictions for each of the matches and stuff like that. And I have a couple of bets as well to round off the show in Beat the Bookie. So plenty in there. Right, so let's begin. We'll begin with the Champions League. Absolutely phenomenal last night and the night before. Very happy for my own team running now 5-1 winners as well. It's been a tough month to say the least, but delighted to have ran out winners and stuff like that. Joanna's in there as well. Big up, Joanne. Hope you are good. And Daz is in as always as well. Big up, Daz. And my brother from another show. How are we, Brent? Hope you are good as well, my friend. Just before we get into the Champions League, actually, I'll bring you up to date on the European stuff. We'll give Arsenal credit where credit is due for their win, but it's early days. I did well with my predictions last week. You did very well with your predictions last week. But let's go down. Let's go down through a couple of live games at the moment as well. There. Celtic at the moment 1-0 down at home to Strum Grass. Problems continue there. Nottingham Forest 1-0 up against Porto. Gibbs White with the goal there. Palace still 0-0 against AK Larnaca, and Shamrock Rovers at home 1-0 down to Selly at the moment. And earlier in the day, these are full times. Rangers got beaten 3-0 by Brann. What else stuck out there to me? Aston Villa losing 2-1. Lost 2-1 to Go Ahead Eagles. Not a good result at all for them either. Roma at home getting beaten 2-0 by Victoria Pilsen as well. Interesting one there. What else came out of today? Where are we? Back into the conference. Aberdeen got beaten 6-0 by AK Athens. So far, not a great night for Scottish football, I have to say. And Shelbourne losing 1-0 away in the Europa Conference as well. A goal scored in the 90th plus 2 minute, an OG by Barrett. So they'll be absolutely fuming over that. Everything else in there is as you were, and nothing else sticking out at the moment, but they're the main ones. So we'll follow the main live matches at the moment. We'll let you know how they're getting on. So hopefully Rovers can turn that around. Baz is in. Big up, Baz. Good to see you, my friend. And also Daz is in again. Do we know how long the injured players will be out for? No, we don't. I haven't heard anything yet. Frimpong, you're probably looking at maybe 6 or 8 weeks, are you? Could be the new year, maybe before you see. Maybe just before Christmas, because it's a hamstring and he's done it again. I'm not sure, is it the same one or the one he originally went out with? Maybe they brought him back too quick. With Isaac, that may be just a precaution. It was like he got a feeling. Was it a feeling in his groin or something like that or something? So maybe, I don't know. We shall see. But listen, plenty of players there and no excuses. Keith's in. What's a crack, pal? Great result for our team last night. I didn't get to watch it because I was at a concert. Yeah, absolutely quality. And don't forget, tomorrow we will drop a preview for the Brentford game, folks. And also Saturday night, about 7:15, we'll be going live and we'll be doing a watch along for the Brentford game and probably going back through the results of the day as well. Right, back into the Champions League. Spurs, the only team that drew 0-0 with Monaco. Probably not a bad result away at Monaco. We know how good the French league has been getting in recent times and stuff like that. You can tell by the signings and the young players that have come through and stuff like that. City getting the job done 2-0 as well. Newcastle winning 3-0 away. Very, very good as well. Chelsea, like ourselves last night, 5-1, and Arsenal with a phenomenal result at home to Atletico Madrid, winning 4-0. And Victor Yerkes, I think, scoring 2 as far as I can gather. Really, really positive at the moment. A lot of positivity around Arsenal at the moment, and they're going to take some beating. So we shall see. But all in all, I think it was a record amount of goals scored by English teams in a single week in the Champions League and stuff like that. So, and also if you look at our own results against Frankfurt, Frankfurt have had 3 in their first 3 games, 3 all 5-1 results, 1 that they won and 2 that they lost. So they do like a good 5-1. But yeah, it was delighted to see the team back home again. I did do a reaction to the match. It went up this morning if anyone wants to check it out. It is up there for anyone if they want to take a look. Right, let's get into this Premier League preview. Just let me get the matches up here and let's see what we want to go through. Make sure I follow through in terms of my my bets as well. Right, let's begin. We've got a match tomorrow night. Obviously, a huge match this one is, especially down the bottom of the table. 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Leeds United at Ellen Road versus West Ham. I think I pinned this as a draw in my bet. I would kind of lean a little bit towards Leeds, just because they're at home. But I've a funny feeling this could run out a draw. But a massive game for Leeds at home. They really need to get the 3 points. West Ham not good at the moment, in a poor vein of form. And it's teams like Leeds and those teams down on that bottom third and all need to take advantage when these teams are struggling. But yeah, just to let you know, keep it updated there in the Europeans. Yep, still as you were. 1-0 to Strumgrants against Celtic, 1-0 to Nottingham Forest against Porto, 0-0 Palace and Larnaca, and Shamrock Rovers still 1-0 down at home. So I'm siding here probably on a draw. And I know Paul won't thank me for that, but he'll want me to be predicting the Leeds win. They have to win. Into Saturday, got some interesting games on Saturday. Obviously, Chelsea, and we've got a full day of it all the way through. Chelsea versus Sunderland. I think Sunderland have done really, really well this season. They've stood out a mile. Daz is going with a 3-0. 3-0, Daz. Interesting. Chelsea versus Sunderland. I think Chelsea ultimately here will win, but I think Sunderland will potentially give a very good account of themselves. Now, we've know at times Sunderland haven't always travelled great this season, but certainly their home form is where it's at. But against the Chelsea side, coming back in off a European trip, a European game as well. Let's see what happens there. But I think Chelsea will end up winning. I think Chelsea are in a good vein of form at the moment this year, but Sunderland doing exceptionally well as well. So I think I had this Chelsea about the score. I won't give away the bets too much. Newcastle United versus Fulham. Again, another very interesting game. Kind of leaning towards Newcastle just because of home advantage here. But I think when you look at Newcastle and you look at Fulham, you're really splitting hairs. There's nothing really in it. Fulham probably have played the better football this season. But certainly Newcastle formidable at times at home. This will be an interesting game. Again, another one I wouldn't be surprised if a draw, but I'm just leaning a little bit towards Newcastle. But let me know in the chat. Let me know what you're going for in these different games. Man United versus Brighton. Brighton again is kind of like you're not too sure which Brighton you're going to get. So that's from that point of view, very interesting one, this game as well. Do we get the Brighton to show up? Do we get the Danny Welbeck of last week? Or do we get something different against Man United? Man United obviously going into the game, they'll be very up for this, especially after beating Liverpool last week at Anfield. They'll be on a high. So it'll be interesting to see what way that goes. It's Leeds 0-0, Joe, and you're going for it. Leeds West Ham. As far as I know. Wolves are playing Burnley on the Sunday. But 0-0. Could easily. It could easily be 0-0. It could easily be a 4-all because there's a lack of defend there. Shamrock Rovers have just gone 2-0 down at home now in the European tie. Not good, not looking good there at the moment. They are struggling at the moment. Lost their last 2 league games on the bounce as well, trying to get over the line and win the Premier League here in Ireland. You have to go with a United home win here, don't you? Now, would it shock us if it was a draw or a Brighton? But I think you have to leave with Man United. I think they're finding themselves. Chelsea Sunderland, Joanna's gone for a 2-2. Interesting. Acers. Brighton midfield will be more stronger than United. Brighton midfield more stronger than United, so Brighton 2 or 3-1. Interesting. Yeah, listen, Brighton, no easy game against Brighton, that's for sure. Joanna's gone for a Newcastle 2-1 win over Fulham. Yeah, I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be a good game to watch, though. I think it'll be a good game of football, but I think it'll be tight, and it could go either way. And then the evening game, Brentford versus Liverpool. And the questions over this at the moment are, one, was last night just a blip? Or is Slot who is he going to pick? We've seen all sorts of talk coming out today about Mo Salah changing his social media and all this kind of stuff, that he's not a happy bunny. Joanne is going for a 2-1 Man United versus Fulham as well. Nice. Brentford versus Liverpool, the 8 o'clock game. Interesting one, unusual time for a fixture and stuff like that, but it gives us a full day of football, really, tough place to go. Always a tough place to go. We'll be doing a watch along for it. I think Liverpool will probably just shade this, but what a job Keith Andrews is doing there at the moment. They were one of the teams I think most of us on the panel tipped to potentially go down, with Thomas Frank exiting the building and also the quality of player that they lost. But they've showed that, with that bit of coaching in there and stuff like that, you can grind out and get results when needed and stuff like that. So they'll make it very difficult for us on the night. They also will try and take advantage of the wing play. So hopefully, looking at that kind of a modified 4-4-2 formation that we played last night, kind of shut it down a little bit. So let's see what happens. But I think most people will be looking to see what the actual starting lineup is for Liverpool on the night. Was Arne Slot changing this out of necessity and out of what he is saying? Has he been dropping players because they're out of form? Or was he just rotating players? Does Mo Salah come back into the starting lineup? Let's see. But certainly interesting. Then we go into Sunday. We got Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest leading at the moment against Porto. They'd like to take a big win into Sunday and stuff like that. But I think going to Bournemouth, I think with the struggles on Nottingham Forest at the moment as well, Sean Dyche going in there, do you get a new manager bounce? Would you get a new manager bounce off of Sean Dyche? Would he play? Sean Dyche kind of is somewhere in between Nuno and Ange, isn't he? But not quite Nuno, maybe a little bit back from that, So I don't know, we'll see. But 1-0 up tonight against Porto, so obviously that's changed things. So let's see. Bournemouth, brilliant at the moment. Really doing well this season. So it'll be very difficult, I think, for Forest to go there and get a result. I think Bournemouth will probably just shade it. Joanna's going for a 3-1 Liverpool win at Brentford. I would take your hand off for that, Joanne. And Keith is in. I can't give Man United credit. Sorry, hope the bastards lose. I'm not giving them credit. I'm just telling you they're coming in a rich vein of form. You know what I mean? They're going for 3 on the bounce. They played really well last week against us. It's undeniable. You know what I mean? So you can't deny it. They did what they should have done last year. Harry Maguire should have scored the winner last year as well. So things hadn't really changed. So it's not a question of giving them credit. You have to accept if a team has improved, and you can't deny that they haven't improved. Aston Villa versus Man City. Aston Villa beaten tonight by Go Ahead Eagles 2-1. So they're not coming into the game. They have been finding goals recently. Obviously, Daniel Mallon has been finding a few goals and stuff like that. But City at the moment are just on an absolute tear. So I wouldn't be surprised. Haaland. Have we ever experienced in our life a goal scorer like Haaland? He is just an absolute machine. Absolute machine. No stopping him. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. This is going to be a big game this year, Super Sunday. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. So On paper, could be a very, very tough game. Never an easy game against Palace. They'll always show up and try and upset things. I've teetered away slightly recently. Haven't been as good as since they did the number on us, to be honest. But still very, very good. But they will show up to give an impression to Arsenal at the Emirates, that's for sure. And if we can beat Brentford on Saturday night, we can put a little bit of pressure on Arsenal, because then the gap would only be a point. But I expect Arsenal to get over the line on this. I think it'll be tough, and I think Arsenal will have to work hard for it. But they're coming in off like so many good results at the moment and stuff. And that win, that's an impressive win against Atletico Madrid. And we heard what Simeone had to say after the game as well. So you would expect Arsenal probably to beat Palace at the Emirates. Acers is in with a City win-win. Yeah, absolutely. I think most people would agree with that. Although Villa Park can be a tough place to go, but I think City at the moment are just finding their straps at the moment. Here's a really, really tough one to call. This is another 6-pointer here. Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Burnley. Who is going to win this? Obviously, Burnley picking up a big win last week, but obviously going to struggle still in the division and stuff like that. But Wolves look all lost at sea at the moment. They really need to shape up. They're at home, so they will see this. This is a 6-pointer. This is a relegation 6-pointer. The real reality of it and stuff like that. Probably thinking a draw in this one, a draw. And then we rounded out with Everton versus Tottenham at the new stadium. Tottenham again, just, point away from home against Monaco. Generally not a bad result and stuff like that, Monaco are a decent team. But Tottenham probably would expect more. They've had a little bit of a wobble under Frank and stuff like that. Everton, a tough place to go. Playing really, really well at the moment under Moyes. Really structured in the way they play and stuff. I think Everton might just shade this. Just catch up on the comments. Joanna is in with a Bournemouth 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Yeah, I think Bournemouth will. I think Forest might score, but I think Bournemouth will beat them. Wolves desperately need the 3 points. They do keep. They're really, really struggling at the moment. And Acers is in where Everton will beat Tottenham. Yeah, tough place to go. Joanne, Aston Villa 0, Man City 4. Yeah, big result. Big result. And Acers as well. Tottenham are missing Kudus and Solanke. Too much. Yeah, absolutely. Too much. Too much. Yeah, so probably an Everton win there. So that should make for things semi sort of interesting. But if we're looking at that top half of the table, I think we might end the weekend with kind of as you are in terms of the gaps and stuff like that. And all. Be interesting to see if we can put the points on the board on Saturday evening. Does it have a kind of a little effect on City and on Arsenal? We shall see. I wouldn't expect it to, but this early especially. But we shall see. But we have to go out and do our job anyway and make sure that the Salzburg result wasn't the Frankfurt result wasn't an isolated result, Big up Romy. Joanne is going for a 4-0 win against Crystal Palace. That's huge, Joanne. That's huge against Palace. Fair play. Big up Romy. How are you, my friend? Big up Niall. We just passed Juve last night by the skin of our teeth. Yeah, absolutely. And I think when I spoke about it on Monday night, I said it would be a good game. But yeah, Juve are, Real. Bellingham, wasn't it? Bellingham got the winner, wasn't he? But listen, this is how it goes, It's not the worst. Joanne's coming in with Wolves 0, Burnley 1. That would be huge away win. That would really put Wolves in serious trouble and stuff like that. Acers. Can't wait for Barcelona hammering Madrid on Sunday. A lot of talk coming out of Barcelona. Did you see that article there the other day where they've 138 million or something still to pay in transfer fees and stuff like that? And apparently, I think La Liga has instructed them that they have to pay 121 million by the end of this season, or there's going to be problems. So that should be interesting as well. See how does that affect the approach and stuff like that. But you would imagine Madrid would want to win that game, but a massive game on Sunday. Massive game. Joanne's going for 2-0 Tottenham win away at Everton. That'd be massive as well. Joanne, you're banging it out here. You must be trying to win a few bob this weekend if these are your bets, because there's serious odds on that one I was looking earlier. Keith's in. I've heard Liverpool are going in for Antonio Semenyo in January. I would love to get him. He's a fantastic player. Yeah, the problem is though, like, I mean, it's all well and good going in and getting these players, but I don't know. Some of his best work this season has been on the left side. Cody Gakpo's been pretty good. Now, I know we don't have a huge alternative in there and stuff like that and all, you know. And then what do you do then? If you're not going to play him on the left, what are you going to do? Play him centrally? So then what do you do with Wirtz? I don't know. It's a bit of a conundrum, you know. It's nice to cherry pick these players that are playing really well and stuff like that and all, but it's whether it translates up to the bigger team. But fantastic player. Self and Darren spoke about him a number of times, but we shall see. We shall see. I'd rather just go for a central defender, to be honest, in January, if we could. Spotify FC with the bounce checks like Heyman. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely insane. Insane, I have to say. Right, I do want to talk about the League of Ireland a little bit. There's a few issues there that I want to talk about. Obviously, we're covering the games tonight. Obviously, Shelbourne, as we said earlier, missing out with an OG, Barrow with an OG in the 92nd minute. Very, very unlucky. But we're going to talk about the qualifiers are coming up this weekend as well. Friday, tomorrow night, we have the qualifiers. We have Treaty versus Cove, and we have UCD versus Bray Wanderers. They're the first legs. Second legs are then on Tuesday, the 28th. So we'll have a fair idea what the final of the playoffs is by Tuesday evening. So we will keep an eye on that. But Bray avoiding, you kind of think Bray need to find a little bit of form again. They've bounced back somewhat, but you would be thinking here potentially a Cove Bray final. And then the question is, can Bray then get over the line? They stumbled last year. They got so close, but just didn't make it. So could Bray get over the line this year? We shall see. But I wanted to talk about Dundalk. And it's kind of come a little bit out of left field. I was talking to Mark about this today as well. Acers. Strange that WWE announced Money in the Bank pay-per-view on Sunday instead of Saturday. They had mentioned Acers they might be going back to Sundays for the pay-per-views. There was talk of that a few months ago, if you remember. So don't know. Maybe it's a scheduling thing or something. Keith, I would rather go after Gay, to be honest, Niall, but I still wouldn't say no to Semenyo. But we will see. Yeah, I think if we've money to spend in January, I think we should be looking at that central defender area, really, to be honest, you know. Right, let's talk this statement that came out from the 1903 Supporters Club at Dundalk. They're saying the 1903 Supporters Club, and I have to say, people, the reaction to this is not what the actual Supporters Club have put out here. A lot of their supporters are pulling their contributions now. There's a lot of talk here about they want transparency, but they're not filling their members with the information they need to show transparency why they're taking this action. And a lot of talk about John Temple and stuff like that and all. And you've heard myself and Mark talk about him a number of times. And the job he done up there this year was phenomenal and stuff like that, along with the club and the manager and the coaching staff and everything. It was a phenomenal season for them. They were in real trouble. And they've been engaging and doing an awful lot of things with the community and stuff like that and all. But the real issue at Dundalk, the finances are always an issue. But this is and it was interesting as well, because some of their members were coming out calling for an AGM or an EGM or whatever it is, that they hadn't agreed to this, and why is the supporters club putting this out when it hasn't been agreed, and blah 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 blah. It's like they jumped the kind of gun on it a little bit and stuff. But for me, and certainly for Mark, we got wind of this the other day, and it certainly came out of left field. We weren't expecting that at all. We were trying to get John on the podcast and all to talk about the job he did last season up at Dundalk and the challenges that he faced. But he said effectively immediately all match day support and organised activities for the up and coming season are suspended. Now this is a kind of a strange one that's irked the members, because we know with Dundalk, financially match day money and all is so important to them and stuff like that, and organised activities. So they're getting a bit of flack at the moment, the supporters club, because ultimately if you pull your financial support from the club, you're ultimately damaging the club. We have lost confidence in Mr. Temple's leadership due to his continued lack of engagement with parts of the fan base, failure to deliver on key commitments, and disregard for the values that define Dundalk FC as a community club. That needs a bit of fleshing out. That's a serious paragraph there, in terms of lack of engagement. But I mean, we heard a story coming out that he was due to have a meeting and stuff like that, and he was threatened and told to stay away. So we don't know. Somewhere in the middle probably is the truth. While we recognise his role during a challenging period, absolutely. It is clear that his position is no longer tenable. Now, I don't know whether we would have said that 2 weeks ago when Dundalk were lifting the title. Dundalk FC deserves leadership that is transparent, ambitious. I don't know whether they've shown any lack of ambition, have they? And connected to its supporters. Those scenes 2 weeks ago up in Oriel Park when they lifted the title, would that look like a club that's not connected with its supporters? I don't know. This is an interesting one, and I think this is why they've got kickback from their members and stuff like that. If you go in onto the Twitter on Dundalk and you go in and you look at this statement and you go down into the comments, have a look at the comments. There's members of this supporters club that are not happy that this has come out and it wasn't discussed or voted on or whatever it is. We believe there are credible parties ready to engage in meaningful discussions about the club's future ownership, and we urge Mr. Temple to consider these options in the best interest of Dundalk FC, its fans, and the wider community. The time has come for change and for leadership that truly represents the spirit and core values of Dundalk FC. Now, again, not being overly close to it and stuff like that, we followed Dundalk all season. We've given you all the updates and the match reactions and all this kind of stuff and all. I don't know. Does this truly stink of a statement from the 1903 Supporters Club, or is this very much an agenda-based driven kind of statement that's gone out there? Their own members even aren't happy about this. So I'm not too sure. I'm just not too sure at the moment. We will dig into it more. Mark is away this weekend. He's over in Blackpool. Hopefully send us some decent videos. But we will talk about it when he gets back, because Mark is quite close to John and stuff like that. John does be in with him and they have conversations. And this came very much out of left field from myself and Mark the other day when we seen this. This is not what we were expecting from a club that, if you go back a year ago, my God, was really on death's door, and they pulled it back from the edge of the cliff, so to speak, and went out and had a phenomenal season, even under the constraints of what they were under. I don't know. This just seems so far away from what we seen 2 weeks ago. Let me know what your thoughts is on it, if you've thought about it or said that on it. Where are we? I hope WWE doesn't go back to Sunday pay-per-views. I love Saturday pay-per-views, absolutely, because you can have the lie-in. And Acers is in there as well. Gahey going to either Madrid or Barcelona in the summer. He's definitely not going to Barcelona, because I think Barcelona are going to have some financial constraints, because we'll have to see, can they even pay the 121 million by the end of the season that needs to be paid in transfer fees, or they'll be in trouble. Also good to hear that they stood down on the game. I think it was due to be played in Miami or something like that. Romy could update me on that, but it's good to see that the La Liga games, official La Liga games, are not going travelling around the globe. And I think that's the way it should be. I think if we open up the doors to this global thing, you'll have more and more and more games being played away on foreign soil, if you like, and stuff like that. And I don't know. I don't know whether that does anything then for the league. It does a lot for the clubs in terms of globalization and marketing and all that kind of stuff out there. Especially we've seen when clubs go pre-season out to Asia and stuff like that and all. It's absolutely massive. But I think, you know, your league is your league is sacrilege, really, isn't it? Like you can't be messing around with that. You really can't. But yeah, we will definitely keep an eye on this Dundalk situation as it unfolds. Be hard to believe. Like it shocked me today, even the statement. I mean, then when I was reading down through the comments, it was interesting to see. And I don't know how this supporters club works and stuff like that, and how they operate and stuff like that. But their members were not happy. When you look down at the majority of the comments, is like, you know, we want, like they mentioned in there, transparency, but like ambitious. I mean, could you show any more ambition than from where you were last year and getting back into the Premier League? I don't know about that. And transparency, you probably need to give your members a bit more transparency than this statement. Then that needs to be fleshed out a little bit where this is going, and other people being interested parties, credible parties and all. And I don't know. What does that mean? Does that mean John Temple's group aren't credible? I don't know. It just seems a very, very weird statement. So that's how I felt about it anyway. Just want to go back up to this for a second because we have we have the League of Ireland then fixtures, Premier League fixtures coming up, and obviously Sunday, 3:00 up at the Brandywell is the big one. It's going to be interesting to see how that runs out. Can Shamrock Rovers finally get over the line and get the job done and get this league tied down finally, and see how that goes? I'll give you an update on the European situation at the moment. Half times in them, Celtic still 1-0 down to Strumgrass. Nottingham Forest 1-0 up to Porto, going really well. Crystal Palace, AEK Larnaca 0-0, and Rovers still 2-0 down. And obviously we told you about Shells earlier in the evening, losing 1-0 to a 92nd minute OG Barrett. Very unlucky. But let's get into this. Galway United versus Drogheda. That's one for Ben. I said to Ben's going to Galway for the weekend. I said, why don't you go to the Galway game? They're playing Drogheda. Be a great night out because they're heading down on Friday afternoon. Him and the lads spend the weekend down in Galway. That'd be a great way to start your weekend. Head to the Galway game. Few beers, bit of grub at it, and then head out on the town. What more would you want? St. Pat's playing Waterford. These are all Friday games, by the way, these first two. St. Pat's coming off a really good result against Rovers last week. Mason Melia, awesome. Power with a banger of a goal. Goal fitting of winning any game. Phenomenal result for St. Patrick Athletic. And we got a big run in here now for these European spots. Shells have put themselves right back in the mix and stuff like that. Sligo Rovers versus Cork City. Interesting to see what Cork do there. FAI Cup on the horizon and stuff like that. So they'll probably be a little bit cautious, I would say, already relegated. And then the big one Sunday at 3:00. Can Derry City hold Shamrock Rovers to go again and not be crowned champions, champagne on ice? Or will Derry City concede the title at the Brandywell for the second year run? And we remember the scenes up there with Shells last year with Duffer and all. What a difference a year makes, isn't it? It's insane when you think about it. And Rovers obviously very unlucky last season on the last day as well. Just came at that run just a little bit too late. And obviously St. Pat's at the time were the form team going into those last 8 games. If you remember the run they were on as well, just died away slightly. And then we rounded out 4:00. Bowls are playing Shelbourne. That's a big game as well. That's a European place game as well. So that's going to be really, really important. Dublin Derby as well. So obviously going to be a feisty affair over there at Dalymount. 4:00 kickoff for that. That's live on the League of Ireland app, obviously League of Ireland TV. Virgin Media 2 are going to be showing Rovers, so we will keep an eye on that, obviously, and see if Rovers can get over the line, get crowned champions. Champions obviously struggling tonight, 2-0 at home. 2-0 down at home to Selly, I think they're called. So yeah, let's have a look then. Let's take in while it's half times there. Let's take in some bets. Mark just messaged me here now. Says he's live. Oh, he has me on live. He has me on live in Blackpool at the moment in his room. Good man, Mark. Fair play. Fair play. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, all that usual stuff, you know. There you go. There you go. Love the support. Fair play. Just want to bring up these bets. They'll take a second to come up. Or hopefully shouldn't. Just want to give a big shout out as well to my uncle Paddy, who passed away the other day. The funeral was today, and he was a huge Liverpool fan. And it was really, really nice to see the relations and the cousins again and catch up and all that kind of stuff and all. And it was a lovely celebration. The priest was brilliant as well. And Paddy was a huge Liverpool fan, and the kind of the insert in the coffin, you know, the white kind of satin sheet thing that they pull over the body before they put the lid on the coffin. The satin thing was all decked out in Liverpool crests and stuff like that and all, because he was a huge Liverpool fan. I remember back in the day we spoke for hours about Liverpool when I was a kid, and I was telling them today that Paddy gave me my first Liverpool scarf when I was 6 back in 1978, and I remember it well. And I thought I still had the scarf. I tried to find the scarf. I couldn't find it because I wanted to probably pop it in the coffin if they would have been okay with it and give it back to him as he's on his journey and stuff like that and all. But rest in peace, Paddy. And yeah, it was great to see me aunties and my cousins and all today. And it's just a shame that people meet up, you know, at funerals and stuff like that and all. Very, very sad. But Paddy was one of the good ones. And he's back with my mum and all and stuff like that and all now. So rest in peace, Paddy. Right. Here's the bets. And if anyone's in there, if they have a bet in there they want to put in, or Ted, if you have your bet in there, feel free to drop it in. The first one's coming in at 105 to 1. Where did I just say? I'll remove this because I don't need it now. So there we go. Right, so the first one is coming in at 105 to 1, and it's Darren's favourite bet. I put it in there because I know he's away. It's the result and both the score. So I went Brentford versus Liverpool. I went Liverpool and both the score. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. I went Arsenal and both the score. And Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. I went Bournemouth and both the score. And Chelsea versus Sunderland. I went for Chelsea and both the score. Not a stretch. 4 results of 4 teams to all score. And Liverpool, Arsenal, Bournemouth and Chelsea to win out in the end. Gives you 105 to 1. Tenner on it gives you a nice little bag of sand. Big Phil's in. How are you, Phil? Hope you're good. Disappointing result for you today, pal. Very unlucky. OG in the 92nd minute. Never nice, but a big game coming up. Dublin Derby at the weekend against Bows. Going to be absolutely massive European spots and all that. But hope you're good, pal. Hope you're good. So that was my first bet result in both the score. And then I did 3 straight draws. And 3 straight draws will give you 35 to 1. So not a bad bet either. Just 3 straight draws. I did Leeds versus West Ham. Paul, I hope you're not listening because you'll kill me later if I'm predicting a draw for Leeds. He wants Leeds to win big time tomorrow. He has to. Wolves versus Burnley. I went for a draw as well. And I rounded it out with Everton versus Tottenham. So they're the 3 draws. Leeds versus West Ham, Wolves versus Burnley, and Everton versus Tottenham will pay you 35 to 1. They're the 2 bets I did. All in, all done. Hope you have luck if you're going to do a bet at the weekend. Enjoy it. Gamble responsibly, of course. Don't be betting the rent money or anything else like that, or the kids' Christmas money or anything like that. Yeah, Phil, it was. Hopefully we bounce back against Bows. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you've been playing well. That game against Rovers up in Tala was an incredible game, especially being down to 10 men. So you'll see. And Bows have been kind of teetering a little bit. They looked really, really good value for money there a few weeks ago, but they've just had a slight little wobble there. But always a big game. Bow Shells at Dalymount coming at you. 4 o'clock on Sunday. You'll get it on the League of Ireland TV. And of course, all eyes will be on the Brandywell. Derry City, can they push Rovers out again and put the champagne on ice for the 3rd week on the trot? Let's see. Shells did it first. Pats did it second. And now can Derry do it 3rd? Or are we going to see the champions of the Premier League of Ireland being crowned up in the Brandywell again? Never nice for the home team unless you're the one. unless you're the one. That's for sure. But we shall see. Yeah, big up, Phil. Big up. Right, folks, that's it. Shorter one than usual. Obviously, Darren wasn't on to do the preview and stuff like that. He's living it up in Dubai, sending me pictures every day. He's having an absolute blast, and couldn't be happier for him and the family. Well deserved. Hope they're loving it and having a great time. The food is insane. He keeps on sending me pictures. Darren, it's not good for my health to be sending me pictures of mousses and ice creams and cheesecakes and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It triggers me. It does to go and do stuff like that and all. Folks, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like on the video. We will see you on the next stream. We will have a video going up tomorrow for a Brentford preview. And then Saturday we will be back at 7:45. We'll bring you through all the results from Saturday, but we'll also be bringing you a live watch along Brentford versus Liverpool. I hope I'm not doing this for me sins, or I'll be very upset. The lineup will tell the tale, really, won't it? But let's see what happens. Up the Reds. Hopefully, let's keep it going. Chat to you again soon, folks. Have a safe weekend if you're not joining us on the other